And in case you didn't know, that it was Dr. Joanie Davis telling you about her 30-day free trial period over there at Davis Family Hearing. Good afternoon, JW. John Winans on the air with you. I've got Dr. Joanie Davis here live in the studio. It's that time once again, the second and fourth Friday of every month, right about the top of the hour till the bottom. We're going to be here with you for your questions, your comments, your concerns, everything to do with hearing loss. Dr. Joanie is in the studios here to answer your questions, address those concerns, and of course, service those needs. Now, at Davis Family Hearing, they do treat the patient, not just their hearing loss. Experience Hernando and Pasco County's premier hearing care center today with sophisticated diagnostic tools available. Davis Family Hearing is equipped to meet every patient's needs from a newborn to a senior, and I think we're going to touch a little bit today on the senior aspect of that. So once again, Davis Family Hearing, you can contact their Brooksville office at 352-666-8910. With several offices throughout the local area, there's no reason not to visit Davis Family Hearing. Dr. Joanie Davis, once again in the studio. If you have a question, the phone number is 796-7272. We'd love to address that here with Dr. Joanie Davis on here today. So, Dr. Davis, what do you got going on now? I do understand that there's this big lyric thing you were talking about. It sounds so exciting.
Absolutely. We are having so much fun with our lyrics. There's so many benefits to wearing lyric hearing aids. And what we've been doing for the past 3 months is we've been having these lyric hearing events. Mm-hmm. So our next one is on March 21st, and it's all day long. So you can call our offices at 352-666-8910, and we can get you put in on that day. Now, it's kind of a multifaceted event. You get the full evaluation and consultation, and you actually get fit the same day if you are a candidate. Yeah. But it's not just us there. Phonak, who is the manufacturer of lyrics, shows up. So you have the manufacturer themselves there to really, they're there to answer any questions, provide any additional demonstrations, and most of the time it just turns into a big party while we're there fitting hearing aids. And they have been so much fun so far, and we have fit so many patients with lyrics, and it's changed so many lives. I mean, the lyric really is a very unique hearing aid. It's the only one of its kind. It's actually been around for 10 years, but over 10 years, they've made dramatic improvements. So now it's this teeny tiny hearing aid that sits 4 millimeters from your eardrum. Wow. But the difference in the lyric and a traditional hearing aid is that the lyric actually stays in your ear canal 24/7. You do not remove it. It's in there all of the time. You can shower with it. You can swim with it. Literally, you feel like a normal hearing person. And not only are you hearing better, but then you can walk around with the confidence that nobody can see why you're hearing better. They are 100% invisible. And it's really, really, really fun for me to go out in public and talk to my patients. I see my patients all over town. And I was at a Chamber of Commerce breakfast the other morning.
Yes.
And I have several chamber members that are patients of mine. And one of them, who is a friend of mine, she was wearing traditional hearing aids and she was doing well with them. But we fit her with the lyrics, and the look on her face was completely different. I mean, it's an extremely noisy environment with people talking all over the place, which is the single most challenging situation for people who have hearing loss is background noise. And you can tell when somebody's hearing and when they're not, when their face is relaxed and they're actually participating in the conversation. Is much different than that strained, I'm struggling to hear you look on their face. And they may not be conversing as much because it's more difficult to have a conversation. So I was standing there talking to her, and I could just see her relaxed face. And she looked at me and she goes, "I'm doing really well with these." And I said, "I know you are." But the beauty of it is, so part of the reason you get the lyric is because it's invisible. And she looked at the person we were talking to and said, "Hey, I got new hearing aids. You can't see them, can you?"
Isn't that awesome?
I love it. I love it. You try so hard to make them invisible, and then people walk around and tell people they're wearing hearing aids.
When something works so well and looks so good and just is the perfect fit, you want to tell everyone, you want to show everyone, like a new pair of shoes or a new dress or a piece of jewelry or something.
Absolutely.
But the fact that they are invisible, you really don't have to say a word.
No, it gives you so much confidence to be able to communicate with people. And word of mouth is by far our number one reason that patients came in. I actually looked at this the other day, and 62% of our patients come from one of our patients referring them of all of the advertising that we do, which just makes me feel so good because it means that our patients are truly happy and they truly feel like a member of the family, and they're excited to tell other people about how well they can hear too.
And I heard that.
Good.
You too can hear today with Dr. Joanie Davis at Davis Family Hearing. This is a live show. We're waiting on your call. If you have a question, comment, concern, 352-796-7272 anywhere across the entire Nature Coast listening area, 1-888-613-2050. And Dr. Joanie, you know, folks can stream this online as well at www.jb.com.
Fabulous.
And they can pick it up on their mobile device with the, what is it, the True, there's an app that you can,
the TrueLink app?
Yeah, similar to that. They can pick it up on their phone or their mobile device. It's called TuneIn. I'm sorry. I just looked it up on my phone. It's the TuneIn app. So they can pick this up across the entire nation. And sometimes we do get calls from folks that are across the entire nation who are streaming it in or picking it up on the TuneIn app. And if they have a question, we're welcome to call in, and we'd love to address that.
You know what? You guys make it so easy to listen in and so accessible. I'm going to add one on top of that. So you can download the app and stream it, and then you can wear your Bluetooth hearing aids and stream it from your phone into your Bluetooth hearing aids. We can just stream all over the place. Isn't technology wonderful?
And you can listen all day long. But if you do have a question and you're outside our listening area, 1-888-613-2050 is the number you want to call. It's toll free. And, of course, locally here, 352-796-7272 in the beautiful town of Brooksville, Florida. So this lyric, it's the world's first and only 100% invisible 24/7 wearable shower-proof for months at a time hearing aid. Something about this Cross 2. What's that feature?
The Cross 2. That's actually a different hearing aid.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But it's amazing. And I just had a really cool experience with that this week. I always do. But a lot of people, and it's way more common than you realize, don't have any usable hearing in any ear, in one of their ears. So they'll have hearing in one ear, but not in the other. And that is really debilitating for people. It makes hearing and background noise extremely difficult. We have two ears for a reason. And one of the reasons we have two ears is to be able to filter out background noise and focus in on what we want to hear. But when everything is going to one ear, it makes communication and background noise difficult. You have trouble localizing where a sound is coming from. So let's say you don't have any hearing in your left ear and you have good hearing in your right ear. It's going to sound like everything is coming from your right side, and you're never going to be able to tell where anything's coming from.
And you see the people that turn their head to pick it up with their good ear.
It creates neck problems too, because they're constantly turning their head. That's extremely challenging. So what the Cross 2 does is it's actually a microphone that we put on the ear that doesn't have any hearing, and you can hear the person on the side that doesn't have any hearing, but you hear it in your good ear. So they communicate wirelessly with each other. Wow. And I just had a delightful lady. You can check her out on our Facebook. It's Davis Family Hearing, facebook.com/Davis Family Hearing. And her name is Ingrid. And she had worn a hearing aid in an ear that had a little bit of hearing, but she had 0% understanding ability. So it was just garbled sound that was coming in. So I fit her with what we call a bi-cross hearing aid. And she goes, she's just a delightful human being. And she said, "Whisper in my ear. I want to see if I can hear you." And so I whispered in her ear, and she could understand what I said on her left ear that didn't have any understanding ability. And she was just over the top excited. So halfway through the appointment, one of my staff members had a question, and they pulled me into the room across from her, and I left the door open, and that was the side that her dead ear was actually pointing to. And I came back in, and she said, "I understood 75% of what you were saying, and you were barely talking." It's just a whole other world for her. So then she looked at me and said, "Why didn't we do this 5 years ago?" And I said, "Because they weren't as good 5 years ago. Now we have the technology to work with it and really treat those people that thought that there were no solutions."
Right.
I hear that every day. People come in and say, this doctor or this audiologist told me there wasn't anything that could be done for me. And now I never say that. I don't think I ever say that. There's literally a solution for everyone because of the technology that we have at our hands.
Well, I got to tell you, your doctors do truly make the difference, and that's the difference between a board-certified doctor in audiology and a hearing aid specialist.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a huge difference. Doctors of audiology go to school for 8 years, and the last year of their graduate studies is a residency. So they get a full year of a full patient caseload before we even allow them to graduate. Hearing aid specialists have a high school education, and they've undergone a 6-month apprenticeship underneath another hearing aid specialist. I know some very nice hearing aid specialists, but there is just a huge difference in the level of care that you're going to get. And I'm going to take it one step farther. Not only are my audiologists all doctors, but we're all board certified doctors.
Wow.
So what that means is we have much higher continuing education requirements. We're required to get a significantly higher number of continuing education. And we're actually required to prove that we learned in that continuing education, and we have to take tests to prove that we learned the material. So all of my doctors are board certified. It is a requirement of mine to have a doctor of audiology be board certified on my staff. So we're always up on the latest technology and can treat our patients the best that we possibly can.
And there you go. Put Dr. Joanie Davis and Davis Family Hearing to the test and give them a call. Yes, 352-666. 8910. Not only we talked about the Lyric and the Cross 2 today, but you also the sole Cochlear provider in the area, and we'll touch on that as well as aging and communication.
Yes.
There is a link, by the way, between hearing loss and Alzheimer's. We'll talk about that.
Absolutely.
We'll be back after this then. This is Here Today, Dr. Joanie Davis on JB Radio, folks. We'll be back after this.
Try the Lyric hearing aid free for 30 days. Davis Family Hearing is the only Lyric provider in Hernando, Citrus, and Pasco County. The Lyric hearing aid goes in your ear canal and stays for 3 months. There's no changing batteries, no cleaning, and you can wear it in the shower and swimming. Call us today to try it free for 30 days at 352-666-8910 or visit us online at davisfamilyhearing.com.
And you heard it straight from the doctor's mouth. Dr. Joanie Davis with Davis Family Hearing, not only the sole doctor at Davis Family Hearing, one of them that can make a difference there for you and your hearing issues. She's got several other board-certified audiologists on staff there. Any one of them can attack that need of hearing that we are suffering from as we get older. And speaking of older, as we age, our senses do fade and our minds begin receiving fewer stimuli from the world around us. This lack of input from the outside world is detrimental, of course, to the operation of the mind. And evidence is mounting that the lack of stimulus, such as from hearing loss, is having a measurable impact on the aging population. So studies do show that seniors are experiencing hearing loss may be an increased risk for developing dementia, including Alzheimer's disease. As hearing loss worsens, the risk of dementia likely increases as well. Dr. Joanie, what do you got to say about that?
I want to elaborate on this one because this is a huge hot topic. Nobody wants to get dementia. I mean, this is our number one fear as we age. There are a lot of places out there, and I have seen some advertisements saying that if you don't treat your hearing loss, you're going to get dementia. I want to refute that because that's scary thing, and that's not exactly what we're talking about, but there is something to that. There's a ton of research coming out of Johns Hopkins University. Dr. Frank Lin is an otolaryngologist doing some extensive longitudinal research that is so super interesting. I just crave every article that he comes out with. And he has found that if you treat your hearing loss early, you actually experience the same rate of cognitive decline as your normal hearing peers. However, if you don't treat your hearing loss early and let it go and get to a moderate or even a severe amount before you do something about it, those people have a 3 to 4 times faster rate of cognitive decline than their normal hearing peers. Now, there's a lot of speculation about why that could happen, and here's my personal observation and opinion on it. If you don't use it, you lose it. It's kind of like if you don't use your muscles, you're not going to have that muscle tone. Right. Well, our auditory cortex of our brain is in our left temporal lobe. Guess where Alzheimer's disease and dementia happens? In our left temporal lobe. So if you're not getting consistent stimulation to neurons that are used to receiving that information, well, they're going to atrophy and they're not going to work as well. And then they're eventually going to die. And we know what happens to dead tissue in the body. It typically spreads. So if it happens in the auditory cortex, it's not out of the realm of possibility to think that that death and that necrosis is actually spreading to our Broca's area of the brain and the part of the brain that determines short-term memory loss. Now, that's a scary thing for people to think about, but just be cognizant of it. And I see it every single day. When we improve people's hearing, they're more connected with their environment. Their personality is more upbeat because they can communicate with confidence. And that alone creates happy endorphins in our brain, which is good for our body. So there's really a lot of different aspects surrounding it. Now, on the converse, the other thing that I see is people who do have short-term memory loss a lot of times have a hearing loss that's undiagnosed as well.
Right.
And I can't tell you how many times in my office I find out that somebody's dementia is not nearly as bad as we thought it was.
That's right.
There's a chart that I saw from, I think it was the Alzheimer's Association, actually. There were 11 symptoms of hearing loss and 11 symptoms of dementia. They were the exact same symptoms. And I've even caught myself doing it in the office before, and I'm trying to be very cognizant of it. I had this one patient in particular that just really exemplifies the whole situation. His name is Ernie. And Ernie had hearing aids, but they were older hearing aids that I was just maintaining for him.
Right.
And Ernie would come in, and yes, he had short-term memory loss, but he would crack a joke every time he was in the office. And he was just this bright, funny spot in our office every time he came in. Well, over the last year or so, Ernie would come in and just kind of sit at his appointments and not really say anything. And his wife was kind of driving the appointments, and she was a delightful human being. But we all thought that his dementia was progressing. So it came time to replace his hearing aids, and we upgraded his hearing aids. And the second I turned his new hearing aids on, he cracked a joke.
Goodness.
His dementia hadn't worsened at all. It was just his hearing loss.
That's right.
So the next week, he and his wife come back into my office, and his wife said, "Thank you so much for giving me my husband back." She said, "Yes, he has short-term memory loss, but..." She said, "We used to go out to eat at a restaurant, and it wasn't fun because he would sit there and eat really quickly and then just want to go home. It would be like a 15-minute meal." She said, "After we got these new hearing aids, we went to Panera Bread, sat outside on a beautiful day and ate our meal, but then we sat there for a half an hour afterwards and had a conversation about our family and the beautiful day and listens to the birds chirp and talked about our grandchildren." She says, "The first date I've had with my husband in years." So, that's what treating hearing loss really does, is reconnects us with our loved ones, helps us to communicate with them better. I mean, I've been known to say that men are from Mars, women are from Venus, add a hearing loss and good luck. I mean, it just really makes communication that much more difficult.
Well, to communicate, you need two. Right,
Absolutely.
A minimum of two. I mean,
Absolutely.
And that's why studies show that seniors experiencing a hearing loss may be at an increased risk of developing that dementia that Dr. Joanie was talking about, and why early intervention is absolutely necessary to improving the quality of life for you or loved ones. So remember, the more connected to the environment we are, the more likely we are to interact with it.
Absolutely. And that's another aspect of it as well. If you can't hear and can't communicate in a social situation, you tend to withdraw and you tend to not go out into the world and sit at home. And that in itself aids in the cognitive decline process as well. Not only that, but take this scenario. So you don't go out to a golf game with your buddies because it's too difficult to understand what they're saying. So what do? You stay at home. What do we do when we stay at home? We sit on the couch, watch television, eat potato chips,
ice cream,
get diabetes, heart disease. I mean, there's so many other health effects that can be hidden that hearing loss has caused that we don't even realize.
And that, and we're talking about the elderly senior citizen group here, because I know, working with the dementia Alzheimer's program for a number of years and helping folks, caregivers especially, get through that after age 65 that occurs. But are you seeing any numbers of people coming in maybe early in their 40s or 50s that are dealing with this?
We do have some.
Okay.
We do have some people with some early onset Alzheimer's. Right. And first thing we want to do is check and see if they have hearing loss. And, it's not a super common phenomenon, but we have had some early onset Alzheimer's coming in. And it's like you said, usually late 40s, early 50s. And that can be very detrimental to a family because a lot of times they still have teenagers and younger children, and it creates a very complicated scenario. But the Alzheimer's Association, Alzheimer's Family Organization are just an amazing organization, and I refer to them all of the time, and the support that they provide for our patients is really amazing. Yeah,
because there is a direct link between hearing loss and dementia, folks. So that's something you might want to check out. It may not be dementia. It may not be short-term memory loss. It could just be a hearing loss. And that's why Dr. Joanie Davis and Davis Family Hearing is available for you. Now, their doctors do make the difference, but they can't make the difference without you. You need to get involved. If you need to experience what's going on around you, if you need to communicate a little better, if you need to hear, then you have the possibility of sitting right in front of you, Davis Family Hearing, because they are board-certified audiologists at Davis Family Hearing. Now, speaking of that, do you take all types of insurance?
We do. We take all insurance. We are providers for every single insurance, which really the sky is the limit. We can service everyone. And when I say that there's a treatment for everyone, I really mean it. And it makes, not only do we take all insurances, and we check that for you. It's not your responsibility to know that when you come in. We have an excellent insurance specialist who takes care of all of that. But we also provide a free 30-day trial. So if you need to experiment with a couple of different products before you make that decision, we don't touch your insurance until you make a decision about what type of product you're going to stay with. If there is any out of pocket and you do decide you want to keep the devices, we provide 12 to 18 months no interest financing as well. So we really do try to make it as easy as possible to get you back in the hearing world. And I'd like to tack on to what you said as well. Getting your hearing tested is a first step. If I see something out in the community, for instance, tinnitus, sometimes if you have problems with your cervical vertebrae, it can cause tinnitus, and it's not actually hearing loss. So I refer to multiple chiropractors in the area. Same thing with, if I see some dementia that's not hearing loss, I'm going to refer you to the appropriate provider, Meridian Research, Alzheimer's Family Organization, and to several physicians in town. I like to serve as a case manager so I can get you to the appropriate professionals. So when you come in, we're not just looking at your hearing loss, we're looking at the entire picture and getting you the help that you need. So think about that when you come in. Doesn't necessarily mean you have hearing loss when you walk into my office. It's good to get a baseline, but then if we need to send you somebody else, we're going to get you to the appropriate people to see.
Hey, when you troubleshoot, you got to start somewhere, and that's the best place to start. So thank you so much for that compassion and that caring. We want to, of course, Davis Family Hearing wants to help you or a loved one hear life to the fullest and break the silence of hearing loss. Others can see your hearing loss, and they help keep it that way by offering a full range of hearing products from the tiniest and most advanced technologies available to entry-level models to meet any need. Now, do you get a lot of, and we got about a minute left, but do you get a lot of older style hearing aids that are coming in and are sort of hanging on?
Occasionally we will. I actually had one from 1987 walk through my door the other day. I was so excited.
Wow.
But yeah, if you have an existing device that you say, it's still working, I want to see if I can salvage it and see how long I can keep it working, we will absolutely do that for you. And we service all hearing aid manufacturers, hearing aids of all ages. It's really about what works for each individual patient. And I love it when I get an antique in my office. I had a body aid come in the other day. They had a box that they wore with an ear mold up in their ear with a long cord.
Wow.
I hadn't seen one of those in years.
That's
and you know
incredible.
what? It needed to go out for repair, and I have a hearing aid manufacturer that repairs it. So I was able to keep it going for the gentleman that loved it.
Very cool.
Yeah.
With so many choices, how do you know where to go to treat your hearing loss? Your journey to better hearing starts with a choice, and that choice is Davis Family Hearing, according to JB Radio and myself. So Dr. Joanie Davis in the studio with us once again for another fine show here today, every second and fourth Friday at 12 o'clock noon till 12:30. And we'll bring Dr. Joanie back in with us again. In the meantime, give her office a call, 352-666-8910. Dr. Joanie Davis, thank you so much.
Thanks so much, John. Have a great day.
See ya.